Good morning and welcome to the EUI Q&A session. My name is Nicolas and I'm project officer in the Permanent Secretariat, and I'm joined today by my colleague.
Hi everyone, my name is Kathleen and I'm also a project officer at the Secretariat.
Today our focus is answering your questions about the EUI initiative. We will be using Slido to collect your questions. Slido is an online platform accessible via your mobile phone using the QR code, or you can go to slido.com through your browser using the hashtag you can see on the screen. So ask your question in the Q&A tab or give some thumbs up if you are interested in one of the questions. So during this event, the Teams chat will not be available. So please post your question on the Slido page. So to kick off this event, we have already prepared this question on Slido. So you can log in to this platform and already start the quiz. Kathleen, while we are waiting for our audience to get set up on Slido, can you give us one piece of advice to the applicant?
Yes, sure. Maybe we can just check with our colleagues. And then, yes. So one piece of advice that I would give, I guess, when we start, before we start the little quiz, would be that, I don't know if you heard recently, we organized a workshop on application form that took place in Brussels this week. And I think we created a lot of content that can be useful when you're in the last stages of submitting your application form. And we're going to put all the presentations and all the documents that we used during this workshop available online. So maybe I would say check our website and check social media to make sure that you make use of these resources, because I think they will be quite useful.
Thank you, Kathleen, for this information. So yeah, have a look at our website. So very soon you will see all the presentation. It was very fruitful meeting, and you will learn a lot of information, very useful for setting up a nice application form.
Yeah.
So have a look at our website. So I think we are now ready for the quiz questions. So I think everyone is more or less on board. And the first question is, what is the minimum number of inhabitants to become a transfer partner? So you have 4 options on your screen. So according to you, what is the correct answer? So we'll give a bit of time for the participants to answer.
It's interesting to see that a lot of you answered answer A, so 50,000 inhabitants.
And Kathleen, can you tell the audience what is the correct answer?
So actually the correct answer between all the proposals is none of the above. There is no limit to become a transfer partner in an EUI project. So if a city is less than 50,000 inhabitants, they can join as transfer partner. It's actually also a bit the aim of this new component to kind of bring on board cities that would be too small to really take part in a project as a main urban authority.
Thank you, Kathleen. So it was quite an interesting question, so that you can learn a bit more about this transfer component. We can move maybe to the second question. It will be appearing on your screen. So can a city like Oslo, Norway, or Belgrade in Serbia be a transfer partner? Yes or no?
Fifty for now.
50 will win.
We'll see if you can still answer this.
That's very tight. Give you still 5 seconds to think about it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, Kathleen, what is the correct answer then?
So unfortunately, a city that is not part of the EU would not be able to join as a transfer partner. So unfortunately, Oslo or Belgrade couldn't join. There are other programs that they could potentially join, but not ours.
Fantastic, thank you, Kathleen. So we can see on the screen the winner. The correct answer, so congratulations. And now we want to take this opportunity, this online event, to focus on one specific aspect of our initiative, and especially on the transfer element of EY project. So we have prepared a couple of slides, so they will be appearing on your screen, and we'll start the presentation very soon. So yes, the transfer component is something new in this new initiative. And our main aim, as you can see on the first slide, is to transfer outputs and solutions developed by our projects and to make sure that they are replicable in other EU municipalities. So on a strategic level, our aim or our ambition is to foster innovation capacities across Europe and to support knowledge building. On the operational level, we would like to see on board what we call 3 transfer partner cities. So they should come from different EU member states. And at least 2 of the 4 cities involved in the project. So when we count 4 cities, it's the MUA plus the 3 transfer partner cities. The 4th would be 2 of them should be located in a less developed or in a transition region. Finally, the partnership should include ideally cities of different sizes. So that's a bit our aim and our ambition when we talk about the transfer component of the EY project. And Kathleen will let us know a bit more about this topic.
So now that you're all preparing for the third call, you can maybe have a look at Portico to find your transfer cities. So we have developed a tool called the Urban Matchmaker. And if you go on this, you can indicate that you're looking for a city to support your to join your project. So you can have a look here if you don't know with whom you would like to work. And if you don't know, it's actually okay, because we'll see in the next slides that you don't need to have the exact names of the cities you will be working with at the stage of application. If we go to the next slide, we'll see what are the sections that you need to fill in the application form. So in part C, you have the strategic description at the beginning of your application form, where you explain what your project is about. And in this section, there are 2 boxes that you need to fill in that are related to transfer. So you can see the numbers of the boxes on the slide, so C.4.5 and C.4.6. So in the first one, you basically need to explain to what extent your solution can be relevant and can be interesting for other urban areas in Europe. So as I mentioned, you don't have to know the exact names, but you need to be able to explain what type of urban areas could potentially be interested. Is it like coastal areas, cities that are prone to heat island effect, etc.? So explain how which of these areas in Europe could be interesting for you as transfer partners, and also explain how you will identify those transfer cities, how you will select them. And if you already know who are your transfer cities that you would like to work with, then explain why you chose those and what's the motivation behind them joining your partnership. The next box, which is called the transferability of, if you can just put this slide before, the transferability of the main elements of the proposed solution. This is where you will have to explain which elements of your project can be interesting for other cities, and what does it take for them to adopt your solution in their local context. So it will be a bit more on the content of your proposal regarding the transfer. And if we go to the next slide, so this in the application form, you also need to fill in a specific section of the work plan, which is transfer work package. If we can just move the next slides. Yes, thank you. So in the work plan, there is one work package that is dedicated to transfer. At the stage of application, you don't need to develop the transfer work package. However, you will have to just fill in the summary box at the top of the work package. And in this one, you just need to explain overall the concept and the framework of your transfer. So basically how you want to coordinate and work with your transfer partners, and what are the type of activities you would be keen to implement. So for example, it could be site visits, peer learning activities, or other forms of cooperation with your transfer cities. I think one point also to mention that is quite important is that you need to foresee budget for those activities. So the participation of the main urban authority in this work package is mandatory. You need the city to be involved, but you can also involve other delivery partners. It would also be encouraged, actually. So you also need to make sure that there is a budget for those partners to join the transfer activities. Right. In terms of what you need to fill in the application form regarding the transfer element, I think that's it. It's more or less what we indicated, but we wanted to have this little focus because it's a new element that didn't exist in the past. And if you have any further question on the transfer element, of course, we can take them during the Q&A.
Thank you, Kathleen. So I guess now the transfer component has no more secret for you. But if you have still question, don't hesitate to go on Slido and to write down your question. And I guess now we can start, let's say, the Q&A session, and we can start to answer your questions. So maybe we can have, we can take on board the first question for you, Kathleen. There is one question. I cannot update the activities in the transfer work package. How come, Kathleen?
Well, this is exactly what we mentioned at this point in the process of working on your proposal. The transfer work package is blocked. So indeed, you cannot update it, and this will be done at a later stage. At this time, at this point in the development of your proposal, you only need to fill in the summary and foresee some budget for the main urban authority and potentially partners joining the work package. So there's another question on transfer that maybe we can take. Can a transfer partner come from the same member state as the main urban authority?
So no, this is not possible. So the transfer partner should come from different EU member states and should be different from the MUA member states. So we are looking for diversity in terms of composition of the partnership. And when it's going to involve the transfer partners, they should come from different EU member states and different from the main urban authority states. Maybe we can now take a new question, and there is one from Katarina. Is there a minimum number of partners per proposal?
So no, there is no minimum number of partner per proposal. There is also no maximum number of partners per proposal. However, we do recommend that there is no more than 10 partner organizations working in a proposal, because I think after that it becomes more challenging in terms of coordination and management for the city. However, there is no size fits it all. So basically, it really depends from one project to another. You really need to think about who are the partners who should be involved. Is it balanced, or do the partners have complementary expertise and responsibilities in the city? So yeah, our recommendation really is just do what's best for your project and what's the most meaningful. And yeah, so no minimum or maximum number of partners is recommended. So if we take a follow-up question, we might turn to ask Nicolas. What's the number of results indicator and output indicator? Is it 10 for both?
I would say there is no magical number. To the number of indicators you have to set up in your application form at the result level or at the output level. So what we expect from your side is to have something proportionate and relevant with the content of your application form. So we would focus more on qualities and quantity. So what you have to set up is what I would say meaningful indicators. So we recommend to have something proportionate. By experience, having more than 15, 20 indicators for result indicators or output indicators, it's too much. By definition, you still need a certain focus in your proposal, so you have to be quite careful with the number of indicators will be set up. So, as I said, there is no magical number, but try to be proportionate and try to be consistent with the content of your application. So, another question for you, Kathleen. Aside from Annex H, what is called the confirmation sheet to be signed, are there any other documents that need to be uploaded during the submission phase?
So no, there isn't any other document that needs to be uploaded. You do not need any letter of intent or anything. It's only the confirmation sheet that needs to be signed and uploaded on the platform. It is possible, if you want, to upload annexes that would help clarify some elements or support your proposal. So you can submit any type of document you want as part of the annexes. However, it's really important that you make sure that all the key information regarding your proposal are included in your application form, because we cannot guarantee that assessors will have the time or take the time to read all the annexes that are submitted. If you share environmental impact assessment study that really that you made before your proposal that is going to be 400 pages and that there's one element hidden among the 400 pages, we don't want we cannot guarantee that the assessor will read it. So you need to make sure that all essential elements are in your application form. So that's what I would say.
And linked to this question, there is also one recurring question coming to us. There is no need to sign the partnership agreement at this stage. So there is no need to upload this kind of document. So there is no need to upload and share with us letters of intent of the transfer partners. So just to come back to the initial topic of our event today. So there is no need to provide us with this document at this stage. It would be later for the approved project during what we call the initiation phase. But that's not the purpose of today.
Yeah.
Just to complement.
And so basically, just to simplify everything, you just need to submit your application form and the signed confirmation sheet. These are the minimum requirements.
Exactly.
But don't be shy and ask a question. You can use the QR code or the hashtag, which is EUI_Q&A or QA, to ask your questions. It'd be good if we use this opportunity to answer as many as we can. So let's take a follow-up question from Patricia. If a delivery partner hires a research associate for the project at the faculty, should this cost be put under staff or should it be put under external expertise cost?
Interesting question. So maybe it's a bit hard without the full context of the project to understand your point. So I would assume that this research associate is not part of the delivery partner institution. So in that case, it would be under external expertise budget line. But without further detail, it's a bit hard to position ourselves. Yeah. So one piece of advice we will give you, Patricia, is maybe to send us an email at the address innovativeactions@urbaninitiative.eu and describing us a bit more the context of your question so that we can answer you in a more precise way. I think that would be the best way to answer this question.
Yeah, but maybe for the rest of the audience, basically you need to ask yourself, is the person that will be working for the project on the payroll of a delivery partner or an MUA? So is it on the payroll? Does it have a real work contract and receives a salary? And if it's the case, you can put it under staff. If not, if it's like people that work for an organization but that are being invoiced, if it's a CEO that is being paid but not by with a salary, all these kind of cases that are very difficult, I would really recommend, as Nicola was saying, to email us. But most of the time, in this case, it would go in external expertise, along with everything related to their travel costs and accommodation. But again, don't hesitate to email us for very specific cases. If we take the next question from Martina. So Martina is asking how many indicators each work package is suggested to have.
So there is a minimum. It's one output. So I understand this question. So you should have one output indicator for work package. So there is no maximum limit, but it's a bit linked to one of my initial answer. We focus on quality instead of quantity, so you should try to set up the most relevant output indicators in each work package. So there should be a direct link with your work package activities, with the content of your proposal. And what we expect is to have the main outcomes stemming from your activities as output. So we should make a clear distinction between what is an output, so as I said, the main outcome of your activities, and deliverables, which are considered in our initiative as intermediary steps. So you have to make this distinction and to focus on as output to the main elements coming from your activities and the implementation of your project. We can take the next question. Can a delivery partner lead the transfer work package?
So that's quite an interesting one. So the main urban authority should really be the one leading the work package, because the aim is really that it's a cooperation of cities across Europe trying to learn from each other and learn from the project that is being implemented. So I think we would really recommend that the main urban authority has a clear and a strong role in the work package. However, they can be supported by a delivery partner, and maybe depending on the case of the project, we can think about co-leadership of the work package, where the city is working in strong cooperation with another delivery partner who is maybe very experienced with regards to networking or transfer activities. When you will be building your partnership and when you are describing the reasoning of why you chose those delivery partners, it's very important that you explain that at least one of the organization has this experience in leading and networking, either via previous European experiences, that we can think of Urbact or other networks where you have this kind of, you have been in contact with cities or organizations from other member states where you've had to work in cooperation. So as such, we would recommend that the MUA is the one leading the transfer partnership and the transfer work package, but nothing prevents you from having a strong co-leading arrangement with another delivery partner. Cool. If we take the next question from Katerina, is it compulsory to have partners from multiple EU countries within the proposal?
So what is compulsory is to have partners or transfer partners from different EU member states in your project. So that's a compulsory element, because by definition, we're looking for transfer partners coming from different EU member states. When it comes to the composition of your, say, regular partnership, so you can have potentially delivery partners coming from other EU member states. So it's possible, but it should be also well justified. Why you need this specific partner in your partnership, which competencies they will bring to your partnership. You should highlight this, because we are financing projects with a certain focus at the local level. So it should be well justified why you need partners coming from different member states. So it's very important to justify why you need this partner coming from other countries. But it's possible. So let's move to the next question.
Let's go.
So can a delivery partner include only staff costs in its budget?
As such, nothing prevents a delivery partner to only have staff costs. If it is justified, if it's in line with the activities that this partner is going to perform in the proposal, then yes, there could be only staff costs. And because we have two budget lines that are calculated as a flat rate of the staff cost, automatically you would also have costs related to what we call office and administration, and costs related to travel and accommodation. So what's really important is that you make sure that the costs that are included in the application form are reasonable, are in line with what the activities that will be performed. So if there are no other costs, of course, yes, no problem to only have staff costs. I'm just going to promote again the idea that, I mean, we've talked a lot about a transfer in the question that we've received, but don't hesitate. Like this Q&A is not limited only to transfer. We can take questions on any topic that you would be interested in. So the next question that we have on the screen: do investments need to have complete design, cost documentation, or permits already available at application submission? That's one that we receive very often. So Nicolas, what would you say?
So I would say do the best you can at the application stage. What we ask you to develop in your application form is to present us the investment you plan to run, or one or several investments. And you will have to fill in what we call an investment fiche. In this fiche, you will have to describe us what is the investment in itself, and also to justify the need for this investment, and to list some key elements, for instance, the location of the investment, the required documents to launch the investment, so it could be legal documentation or technical aspects. Also to tell us more about the ownership of the investment, and also the budget you are foreseeing. So we ask you a certain level of detail in the application stage, but for sure you cannot have complete overview of every single detail of the investment. So, for instance, in some projects, the design of the investment, it's also runs through some activities in the implementation of the project. So maybe you won't have all or every single detail of the investment, but we ask you still to let us know, okay, what is behind the investment you plan to do. And for us, what is quite important is to really grasp the idea of the why you need this investment and what will be its function in the framework of your project. So that's what we expect at the application stage. And just complete a bit this first description. If you are full, you will have after what we call an initiation phase, when you will have to provide us with further information, investments. We will have maybe with time to take a step back and to reflect on what exactly would be all the elements you need to have on board to launch without any delay the investment you plan to run through your projects. But more or less what I would say at this stage, what is needed in terms of description for the investments. If it's fine, we can move to the next question. Can a partner, not the anyway, participate in more than one proposal?
Well, I guess that with this question, Catherine knows already that the main urban authority cannot be involved in more than one proposal within the framework of the same call. However, this rule does not apply to partners. So one partner could potentially be involved in more than one proposal. Maybe one thing to mention, again, regarding main urban authorities, but I think at this stage you already know this point. Main urban authorities that have been already approved in a project from the European Urban Initiative, either Call 1 or Call 2, are not eligible for the third call for proposal. But I think at this stage of the development of your proposal, this is a rule that you are already very much aware. Let's move on to the next question from Martina. Is scientific excellence valued in the proposal, and if so, how much? That's a tricky one. So
scientific excellence, that quite large concept. So if we consider scientific excellence, I would say first at the level of the partnership. So it's really, positively assessed to have on board what we would call knowledge partner with scientific excellence. So if you want to include universities or knowledge partner who can bring an added value when developing your solution, when running your activities, of course, it will be positively assessed. So it's quite a strategic element to have, let's say, the dream team in your partnership, so to have the best elements on board. If we consider scientific excellence, maybe for developing your solution or for presenting us, let's say, the main objective of your proposal, of course, given the topics of the call, we would expect innovative solutions, and by innovation, we would of course expect some inputs from the scientific world, I would say. So excellence would be positively assessed by our expert who will be evaluating the strategic component of your proposal. So quantify how much, obviously a lot, but for sure that's a bit the core of our initiative to support innovative solutions. So for sure, science and scientific excellence will be positively assessed. I hope I answer your question, Martina. Otherwise, please don't hesitate to write down the complementary question or to contact us via our email address. Maybe we can move to the next question from Andy. In the past call, how many projects got presented and how many got selected?
So that's a very good question. I would need to think to remember the exact figures on this one. For call one, if my memory is correct, we had about 110 or between 110 and 120 proposals submitted, and 14 got selected. For call two, we had about the same number of applications submitted, so over 100, between 110 and 120, and we had 22 projects selected. So we have a budget of 95 million euros for the third call, which will enable us to fund again between 20 and 25 projects. It really depends on how many we receive. It's really what's really important for us. It's the quality of the proposals. And maybe one element also to mention is that we do not, so as you know, at this stage, we have two topics that have been proposed for the third call, energy transition and technologies in cities. And we don't have a specific budget in earmarked for each topic. So basically, we won't have 50 energy transition and 50 technology in cities. It's really about what are the best projects that we will receive. I hope that helps to understand more or less what is the success rate of the program. Let's have a look at the next question from Katerina. Can a tech partner or transfer partner be from a different EU country than the MUA? So, Nicolas, I'll leave it to you to answer this question. I think there are two questions in one.
Yes. So the answer is yes. So if you want to involve one, let's say, tech partner, so as delivery partner in your consortium, it's possible if this entity is coming from a different member state than the MUA. So this is possible, and it should be well justified to explain us when you need to have this tech partner on board and what this entity will bring to your partnership and how they will support you in developing your solution and running your activities in a very relevant and efficient way. So yes, this is possible. And when it comes to the transfer partner aspect, so by definition, we expect transfer partner cities coming from different EU member states than the MUA. So this is really a key rule in our initiative. So around this transfer component, we are looking for diversity in terms of countries involved in the project. So for the two questions, yes. Maybe we take the next question. What is the minimum and maximum budget per proposal and per partner?
So the maximum budget for per proposal is 5 million ERDF. So this represents the 80% co-financing that is given by the program. So it means that in total, it would be a budget of 6 million euros, including the 20% that the city needs and the partners need to bring as a co-financing. There's no minimum. However, with regards to the scale of implementation and the ambition of the project that we expect, it is very rare that we see projects that have a lower budget than 2 million. So it's not a minimum requirement. It's something that we see from practice. In terms of maximum and minimum budget per partner, there's no rule. It's really up to the partnership to decide on that element. And it depends on what are the activities that partners are expected to perform within the project. So I think it would look very weird, and it probably would be questioned if one partner had the majority of the budget, like maybe 80%. Of course, it is normal that partners who will have the core of the activities, maybe who will be responsible for the delivery of the investment, have a higher share of the budget. And it is possible that some partners will be involved for small activities with a minor budget, maybe because they are a small organization, they might not have a lot of capacity or a lot of own funds to contribute to the proposal, but we don't have rules as such. So that would be my answer. If we take the next question, maybe I would take the one from Tatiana. An association will be created between some partners of the proposal by the end of 2024. If the proposal is accepted, can we add it as a partner in March? So Nicolas, tell us a bit more about request for changes.
Big topic. So in terms of schedule, adding this partner in March, it's a bit, let's say, what would be assessed with the proposal you will be submitting in October. In terms of, when it comes to the schedule, the assessment phase will last until late spring, I would say, if I'm not wrong. But
March 2025.
Okay.
And the end of the initiations phase will be September 2025.
Okay. But then if your proposal is accepted, we don't accept new delivery partners in the framework of the initiation phase. So in principle, as principle, we work with the consortium which has been submitted in October during the initiation phase as well. So there is no room for maneuver to add an extra partner during the initiation phase, so after March 2025. So then it's a specific situation and can be discussed further in case of approval to see what could be done if it's worth to run such a procedure. Maybe at the launch of the implementation phase of the project, you will have to assess the pro and cons with your officer at that time. But for sure, in March it won't be possible. Then to be discussed at a later stage in case you are approved, and what could be the role of this association in the framework of the implementation of your project at a later stage. So I would say at this stage, let's focus now only on the application form and to be further discussed in case of.
Yeah. And just also remember that we won't increase the budget of the proposal. So if you add an extra partner in the proposal, you will have to use the approved ERDF. So basically, it means that some partners will have to reduce their own budget if you want to add another this association, unless maybe it's the partners who are already in the proposal that create this association, then they can merge their budget. But maybe that's a bit specific, and we can take it by email if needed.
Yes. Maybe we can take now the question from Andy. Can a freelancer be a partner for a project?
So to be a partner in the proposal, there is an organization needs to have a legal personality. In case of a freelancer, I'm not sure that would be the case. So to be checked if this freelancer has a legal status that is sufficiently that is in line with our requirements. if it was not the case, then there would always be the solution that one of the delivery partner decides to contract this freelancer as part of their external expertise cost. Of course, to do that, you need to make sure that selecting this person would be in line with the applicable public procurement policy rules of this given organization. We have another question. We have another question linked also to the budget. Is office cost and overhead the same? Nicola, what can you say about this?
So it's two distinct budget lines. So we have one cost category called staff cost, and you will see when you will be filling in the budget of your application form, you have a flat rate called office and administration cost. So these are really two distinct elements of your budget, so they're not the same. So maybe I'm making a mistake.
For me, overheads are included in the second budget line, the cost category, and actually they would not be eligible in the staff cost category. But again, if you need more specific answer, we'll have to take it by email.
So, mea culpa. Don't listen to my answer and focus on what Kathleen said. That's the benefit of having a duo answering your questions. One can correct yourself. So, in fact, office costs and overhead are the same, right?
Yeah, they're all included in this flat rate calculated on staff costs.
So I'm like, you are not anything to that. Okay, so sorry for the confusion. Thank you for the correction. Maybe we can move to another question. If we want to provide road or network as our configuration, does it already have to be done, or at least have documentation for it? It has been financed.
So I would say a bit what Nicolas said. We had a question just before on how much do we have to show to see that our investment is ready to go. I think the more you can demonstrate it's ready, the better it is, because we want also to make sure that your project can be implemented within the 3.5 years that you will have. So if you already have some pre-works that have been done, if you already have studies, etc., documents, it would be quite interesting to see how much it has been done. But if we want to provide roads or network as our contribution, maybe here the idea is about in-kind. If it's about proposing some infrastructure as in-kind contribution, indeed it has to be delivered, and then you'll have an external person who will be able to certify the value of this road or this network, and then you will be able to demonstrate this value to include it in your in-kind contribution, if that's what this refers to. But indeed, it has to exist already. So if it hasn't been developed and you only have the documentation showing that you have the budget approved for this, you can't really claim it as in-kind because you're not really bringing it in the project. If it hasn't been developed, then you can't use it as part of your project. So you wouldn't be able to include a road or a network as in-kind if that was the case. It's a bit tricky.
Yes. One piece of advice, maybe, Nicola, is to send us an email with a bit more context in your email to describe us a bit more the situation. We know on Slido you have a limited number of characters, so it's not easy to compile everything in one shot, but maybe it's better in your case to drop us a line with further context, and we can analyze the situation and answer for you. That would be also just to get complementary information to better assess the situation. So that would be our advice.
And maybe just if we can take the one from Jane, because it looks like it's very similar.
Can an existing planned investment be used as a contribution from the MUA?
I think it's a bit the same idea. My existing plans, it's not really clear if it exists or not. So again, I would recommend, Jane, if you can email us with a bit more detail, because you need to think that your contribution, your in-kind, you can use it as in-kind if it's used in the project. So I don't know if it's a building, maybe it will be used to host some activities, or because if it's planned, it doesn't exist, so you can't really bring it as in-kind. So again, don't hesitate to email us this kind of questions.
Exactly. So that's always tricky aspects, so it's better to get in touch with us, and we have the support of our finance unit. We can also further analyze the situation and answer you as soon as possible.
And then the next question for Nicolas. So in previous calls, what was the average budget amount, the budget amount dedicated to investments?
I don't have the exact figures in mind, but no, because there is no magical figure. It's really case by case and project by project in terms of the budget allocated to investment. I would say every project has its own story, its own approach, and there is different needs between the projects. So for some projects, we can have quite a substantial amount of budget dedicated to investments. We can talk about millions of euros. For some other projects, the need is not so strong and there is less budget dedicated to investments. So there is no average figure available, to be honest. It's really case by case. There is a kind of golden rules that what you ask for budget in terms of investments has to be proportionate, needed to run your activities, and needed for the benefit of your project, for developing your solution. And so what we would expect from your side is when you would be presenting us a budget for the investments, it should be well justified why there is a need for this investment. And we encourage you to use the investment fiche available in your application form to describe us, okay, what is exactly investment. But if you could make the exercise of dividing the investment and to tell us a bit more, okay, we will need this amount of budget, part of the big envelope, for this type of operation, and which kind of budget you need for running another operation linked to the investment itself, to provide us with a bit more details to understand, okay, if you, I will take a random example, if you have 1 million euro of budget for developing one investment, maybe to tell us a bit more in details and to divide a bit into subcategories, what would be needed exactly to develop this investment. For us to get the full picture and to really understand what is at stake and what is really needed to have this investment. So all in all, no magical number, but we would expect, let's say, clarity, transparency in what is behind the figures you would bring your application form to have an investment develop your project. Let's move to the next question. If we have costs in the budget exceeding the threshold on page 1 or 5 of the guidance, that's quite precise. Flat rate option for staff costs cannot be applied. Kathleen, did you have time to have a look at the page 5?
So basically, in the guidance, we indicate what are the thresholds of EU public procurement directives. So this question basically refers to staff cost option. There are two options. One which is the flat rate, 20% flat rate, and then the other is the standard scale of unit costs. And yes, indeed, this if in your budget you have costs that are going to be above the threshold of public procurement, then you are not able to select the 20% flat rate. You need to go for the other staff cost option, which is this standard scale of unit costs. Hope it's clear. And yes, maybe one thing to the thresholds are really per contract. So it means that if you have one contract, for example, for an investment that is above this threshold, then you cannot choose this option. So it's maybe really important to keep this in mind. It's really a limit per contract.
Okay, so
no, go ahead.
no, because I'm the master of the clock today. So there is 10 minutes remaining. So in the meeting, so that will be this last round of question will be your last chance. So don't hesitate to post your question. And yeah, that's the last minute to take on board the last question from your side. So we'll do our best to answer all the questions the remaining time.
Yeah. Okay, next we can take one of the next question, which is quite an interesting one. Delivery partners cannot be also hired as subcontractors on projects that they are already a part of a contract. Is that correct? And why?
So it's correct. So it's not possible to have contract within a partnership. So it's forbidden in a way. Why? I don't know exactly why.
I think the risk of double funding.
Exactly. And why? Because it's the rule. So yeah, the main focus on the answer, your assumption is correct. So don't play with fire, I would say. So it's important to really respect this rule. Otherwise, part of your cost won't be eligible at a later stage when they will be audited. So
yeah, this really is important to limit the risk of ineligible expenditures.
Exactly. And next question from Tatiana. Can the total budget of the project be, for example, 8 million euros? And this way, the financing from EY would be maximum 5 million euro, but less than 80%. A bit of mathematics.
I mean, in theory, nothing prevents you from investing more than the 6 million. It has happened in the past also that because of delays or increase of unforeseen costs, that a city and their partners would have to put more money than what was initially foreseen, meaning that in the end, the money that they would receive would be a bit less than the 80% planned. So it can happen. At this stage, when you will be working on your proposal, this won't be possible because in the way that the tool, the online platform is developed, you cannot input more than 6 million euros ERDF because the system will directly calculate the 80%. So in your application form, the answer is no. However, reality is also sometimes different than what's on paper in your application. And it has happened in the past that, yes, project had to commit more than the planned budget. Nicola, the next question for you. Relevant activities are expected to be carried out by an entity that will be selected through procurement in early 2025. How can I add it into the project?
I would add this piece of information under the budget section. So when you will be describing the need for external expertise and services, for instance. So here you can use the space available to tell us, okay, which type of entity you would like to involve and to tell us how much budget you would like to dedicate to this activity. So that's where we would expect to see this information. So at the budget description level. And I think that would be maybe.
Yeah, and maybe one thing, actually, it's quite interesting to see that procurement will take place before the actual start of implementation, should the project be approved. And that can be also something that you mentioned to strengthen the idea that once your project is approved and the implementation date starts, you're all ready to go because you've been able to anticipate all the procurement phases. So that's quite an interesting aspect to maybe mention in your proposal. However, it means that all costs related to the development of your procurement will not be eligible because they would take place before the actual start date of implementation, which is maybe we can remind this, would be the 1st of October 2025. So that would be when the eligibility of the cost would start. Nico, do you want to, should I ask you the next question or are you asking?
Okay, you ask.
Okay, is there an Excel budget template to help us build our budget?
I'm afraid no. So we don't provide this kind of tool for you. So, no, to be honest, it's not available. So we invite you maybe to develop your own Excel documents, and maybe one interesting exercise is to not wait too long before starting to build your budget in the monitoring system, to go step by step, because it's quite a long process to fill in all the information. It's also quite a nice way to see everything fitting step by step in the system. What we would have to do is to get your budget system on this information work package by work package, and automatically the system will compile all the financial data, provide you an overview at the project level. So it's one specific section of the application form. If I'm not wrong, it's part E, when you will see automatically calculated all the budget, project budget tables, the project level in the application form. So that would be maybe one piece of advice we would give you at this stage. But sorry, we don't give you any Excel document to build up your budget. Do we have time for a last question, Kathleen? Okay. Let's take the next one.
The two even.
The two, let's go. One question from Jane. Can an external expertise provider be a non-EU organization based outside the European Union?
Yes, that would be possible if it's someone that is contracted, that is not a delivery partner, then we don't have rules on whether or not they should be based in the EU. So no problem to have a provider that is based outside of the EU. And maybe the last question, what do I do if I can't find the relevant result indicators for my project in the terms of reference?
It's okay. So you can use your own creativity to develop your own result indicators if what is defined in the predefined list in the terms of reference is not matching exactly what you would be measuring in terms of impact at your project level. You have the possibility to create your own result indicators to capture better the impact, the change you will bring with your project. So when you will be filling in the application form, at the level of the result indicators section, you will have the option of creating an extra result indicators with your own words, I would say. So here you will be able to develop one or several result indicators coming from you. So it's a good way to complement what is present in the terms of reference and to show us other dimensions which were not initially anticipated in our terms of reference. So this is possible to create by yourself your own result indicators. I'm afraid we are reaching the end of the session. Last one. Last question from Antonio. The proposer can be a non-profit association consortium with a municipality.
So if there was a non-profit association could be part of the partnership of the delivery partner, but it's not going to be the lead partner, what you would call the lead partner in another in other programs. The lead partner in our program always has to be an urban authority. That's why we call them the main urban authority. So it's really the municipality who has to be the one leading and submitting the proposal. This non-profit association can be in the consortium, can probably have it could also have a strong role and maybe co-manage the project with the municipality. The one submitting and leading is always the city or the urban authority. Okay, now I think we can close the questions.
Yeah. Okay.
This is the end.
So we have now reached nearly the end of our Q&A session. Thanks a lot for all your questions. They were very diverse. We address a lot of topics. So before we leave you, so please note that if there is any non-answered question, which we didn't manage to answer during this session. So we will respond to it via email, and the answer will be sent to all people registered to this event. So before we view, we wanted to share with you some additional information about the ongoing support available at our level. So I think we have one last slide available. So yes, so all you need to know is available here. So please use your QR code, and all information is available on our website. So we have a lot of online resources. So our guidance, the technical guidance to fill in your application form on the EP. We have also an application form called Sniff document in Word format available for you. So that's very important to have a look at all this document. Everything is on the Goal 3 page dedicated to this Goal 3. Please don't hesitate also to register to our next online Q&A. It will be in next week. So it will be focusing on finance aspects. So register, don't forget to register. It's be focusing very on this specific and key aspect of your proposal. So it will be a nice opportunity to learn more about this topic. And a few days before the deadline of the call, there's going to be a last Q&A session where you will be invited to ask every question about every single topic. We do our best to answer all these last-minute questions and to provide you support until the very end of the call. Of course, we have also other types of support available. We have online one-to-one consultations. It's possible to register. Maybe if there are very few last slots available, you have to run quickly to get the last spot available for one-to-one consultation. So everything is on the Goal 3 page. If you have any further information, question, you can email us at innovativeactions@urbaninitiative.eu. We have one last request. Please fill in a very short survey to provide feedback on the Q&A. So it was available on the slide. So we would be very grateful to learn more, to have your opinion about this format, to know more about how the survey ran. It's quite important for us to learn your side. And yes, so that's it, I think.
Yeah.
People are starting to answer the survey right now, and we would like to thank you for your participation.
Yeah.
Do you want to add something?
No, nothing. Thank you very much for your attention. Don't forget that the deadline is the 14th of October at 2 p.m. That's maybe the last element I wanted to mention.
Yeah, so be on time.
Yeah.
So we wish you all the best in this very intense period. And yeah, thanks a lot for your participation.
Thanks a lot for joining. Bye.
Bye-bye.